Okay, so we will. I'll share my screen, and if the quality is too bad, then we can have you watch the YouTube stream.
Okay.
Let's go over. We're gonna go over Midtown. And then we'll go over. We'll have like a Socratic seminar kind of thing where we'll just talk.
Defend objective A.
Can you talk again?
Hello?
Okay, cool. So we can go over the defense first. I think your offense is way better than your defense. So let's go over like this comp in general first. What is your job in this, or what is our comp strengths and weaknesses, and what is your job?
Well, since we've got the Bastion, we're really good at aggressing and taking space. The turret, and also the Sigma can be quite good in the poke, holding the high ground with his shield and also pushing when we need to with the amp speed.
Yeah. And then so what is your job in?
Oh, my job is to help my soldier take off angles when she wants to, and then help my Bastion engage when he's in form.
Okay.
Heal all rounds, float around.
Mm-hmm. And then also kite with your tank. But
yeah.
So I think, or mechanically we can talk about, we'll save the mechanics for later. And then I'll have you at the end of this write notes under player notes for things that you're improving on. But so in the neutral, one of the things that I notice is you really like chasing tracers instead of just marking. So
okay.
There are a couple of moments where it's like it really catches up to us when you chase the tracer. Chasing tracers usually is like not good unless it's like the one example where I would say it was like the no other option other than to chase the tracer is like this fight where we're resetting. And the tracer is behind us. Is it this fight or is it after or before? It's before.
I think it's at the end of the fight. Yeah.
Yeah, it's at this fight where the tracer goes all the way into our spawn and then we chase her because everyone is resetting. So this one is fine, but if we watch farther in the neutral, yeah, this fight here,
one, right?
yeah,
yeah,
where I want or Levi also chased the tracer, but because we're in a scrum, we can actually calm. And when the tracer does this kind of stupid stuff, she's not a threat until she actually becomes a threat, and she'll never become a threat if we don't give her the option to go in. So,
okay.
Like pocketing our Sojourn here, when we're standing still, it's usually pocket the Sojourn. So,
okay.
Pocketing your Sojourn so she can contest the tracer. Let's say the tracer does rotate into there. You can stay at the door. You can wait for it to come out. But make sure that you're just still with your Sojourn, and then you can also like wall right up here and shoot her because there's no one to actually mark you.
Yeah. I think I just stayed in a bit too long.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like meeting her at all is just like less optimal than helping our Sojourn. Because if our Sojourn's able to come out and swing main here with you, because she's gonna get marked by BAP, but if she's marked by BAP and you're there, it doesn't matter. Until the tracer dies. But even then, if the tracer doesn't hard dive, if she hard dives, we should probably not die to that because of Suzu and amp speed or amp heal, and Sojourn just doesn't die because of her shift. But now we don't have you and Sojourn over here, and the important thing was like we weren't able to speed and react to this.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
And then it happens on our offense, I think, as well, where you're pushing cart or defaulting to pushing cart. We can talk about the second point push actually here in the neutral because it's the exact same as Gibraltar, but we're on Lucio here, and so it's a bit different in terms of like your positioning because you can actually move compared to break. But okay, let me find the fight that it's on. Is it this one? Then I gotta talk with our DPS because they love chasing with you, and so you're like enabling each other by everyone chasing the tracer. I think no, it's definitely before. Yeah, it's this fight where the tracer's down on bottom, and then I call Teddy to push the cart. So, we'll go over this as a team probably in a VOD sometime. But the entire thing here is they will take the high ground, and we have to give up the high ground. But in response, we get cart space because we can put 2 on cart. And if they decide to drop cart, then we'll win the fight, or it's an even fight, or we just take high ground after they like have to back out. But you're pocketing the person on cart, and or like playing to pocket the person on cart, and you can still heal the people on top. If they lose top, that's fine, and we just keep on pushing the cart, and then you and the Sojourn are safe. If they send 2 people on cart, or if the cart gets stuck, then you can go down with your Sojourn, because there's really nothing that we can do up here unless we have a solid plan. And so that's why I wanted you down here. The thing is, as soon as this Tracer stops contesting, then you can go back up. But, and then, so Levi got shit on, but that's his fault. Yeah.
I mean, that fight, I did hear you say to stay cart, but then I also heard a call from my tank to push high ground. So I was like, oh shit, I didn't know what choice to make.
Okay, yeah. Jacob's just wrong about that.
Okay, so I'll just stay cart next time.
Yeah. Until we get to the point, so if the Tracer is marking down here, and then Levi will calm to us that the Tracer is marking on him, we'll make the decision of, or Levi will make the decision of coming back up top and pushing top, based off of like what ults we have, where here is definitely, we have the ults to be able to push top. The Tracer won't be able to make it up in time, and so we just have a free fight on top. Where we either roll them, or they have to give top, and then we just play top and have 2 cart. Also, one thing with your beats, I feel like you're hesitating a little, but then again, you're also on 80 ping, or like 100 ping. So
yeah. But it is hesitation. The reaction speed isn't that much of a concern.
Yeah. My best advice is just don't hesitate. Because when you feel it in your gut, like, it's not like comp where it's you have to hold your beat for whatever reason. In scrims, if you mess up your beat, if it was called, or if we call the beat and make use of it, then we can just look at it afterwards. But I'd rather you beat early than late. That goes for all the maps too, because I feel like I can't like narrow it down to a specific map, but I think it was Servasa where we were like, was it Servasa?
I think Servasa, I'd be a bit late and I got Ajax because of it.
Yeah, it was like every time that you tried beating, it was always a bit too late.
Yeah.
Okay, I should have wrote down the notes. Okay, mechanically as well, let's talk about the Doom matchup, where I want you on a wall against the Doomfist above him. Let's look at this second point.
I played that 1v1 when I was like, he was in the backline quite bad. It was, I think, when we capped first point, and it was like him and Tracer in the back. And I could have like killed him or like lived longer, but I died to him.
One thing here, and then also, because when you're on a wall, you're able to get more info on the fight and make better choices. So instead of just only peeling your BAP here, you can't really peel your BAP. Like, the best you're going to do is keep him alive, but your attention should be otherwhere, like on the Tracer. Either pocketing your Sojourn with like a Genji or a Tracer, or if for some reason there's another target here. But your boot should go to the shift on the Doomfist, or the Tracer if she goes too far in, and you should be marking the Tracer during these fights. So let me go back like 10 seconds here. So when this Doom engages onto you guys, I want you on the wall in the air, shooting at the Tracer when she goes in. I think also for your cooldown usage, as a reminder, I think you were doing pretty well with this, but having very deliberate amps.
I feel like sometimes, like, if I'm like in a 1v1 or something, I use it quite selfishly, or if I feel like I'm in some form of danger, I might like just use it greedily. But overall, I think my amps are like okay.
And then also calling the amps every single time.
Yeah. Okay. I've tried to do it more with amp hills and amp speeds. I think I just need to do it even more.
Yeah. It just needs to be more consistent.
Yep.
Let me see. I definitely should have wrote down notes. If I can... Oh yeah, let's talk about the pocketing. Like when you should be pocketing, when you should be with your team. So... And just like watch at 2 times speed and remember a fight's defense first points. Or is it second and third that I'm thinking of? Okay, yeah, here. So this is very important in our neutral. So, on this map, or on any map where we have the strong neutral, we want to keep it as hard as possible. So your job here, like the 2 things you should be focusing on is 1, pressuring the enemy tank, and then 2, pressuring the flanker. And then after that comes building ult. So, that pressuring the tank goes hand in hand with building ult, because you'll just get it off of the tank by shooting the tank until the tracer shows up on the side. But then also pocketing your Sojourn is like a big priority. I guess you can't really like number them because they're all very important.
Yeah.
But for you, playing on top of this bus or wall riding on this bus is going to be really good. So then you can stay with your Sojourn. Why is Violet fan there? Okay. But that way your Sojourn can swing and do whatever she wants. Unless that you see them running on your Sigma, or unless you see the Tracer hard inning on someone else that you need to peel, for example, your Bastion or your Curie, then it's just like sitting on your, in between your Sojourn and your Sigma to be able to pocket your Sojourn and make sure that she has like full LOS and full capability to do whatever. So when this Tracer contests, our Sojourn shouldn't have to back up until they commit more than just the Tracer. So a bubble or a Genji engage. And even then, we can still punish the rotation if the Sojourn is up. If we give it, then it's going to be really hard. And so that goes for like every off angle pretty much where the enemy DPS are trying to flank and go in. You want to provide a little bit of resistance by holding the strong neutral with your Sojourn. I feel like there's another example on first or second. Oh, I think it's on the retake here. Yeah. So watching your perspective, okay, this isn't a retake. We can probably watch it for this one and then also find the same thing. Oh no, this is a chasing fight.
Yeah. Oh, this is the retake, I think.
Yeah. So let's just watch it from like your Surge's POV. Oh, she's all the way behind. But
Yeah.
I remember there's a note that I wanted to have for you on the retake. Like, don't remember what it was.
I think I could have said that amp a bit longer.
Maybe, yeah. Or there was a fight where you... Also a fight where you died to Doom in the train that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. That was when we capped first point on attack.
Yeah.
And, everyone rotates right side, but I said I'm gonna stick back on cart, push it.
Yeah, we're... Just the raw mechanical matchups, you shouldn't ever, like, lose to the Doom.
No, definitely not. That was just purely me being dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I should never push into that train. I should be on that wall outside of it.
Yeah. And then whenever the Doom is contesting as well, you should be able to live that matchup every single time.
Yeah.
Let me look at the attack here. I know I'm missing something. Or maybe it's just an example. Oh, okay, yeah, it's this map where your number one priority should be the Sojourn and then marking the Tracer with your Sojourn. So if we look at your Sojourn's positioning wide swinging here, you should still be marking the Tracer. Yeah, maybe you could make an argument that you're on your BAP, but your BAP should be able to handle the Tracer by himself. I
just heard a call for peel, so I turned around instantly to try and help.
Yeah, I would say, because you do a lot of this like hard engaging on the Tracer and letting her bait you into her position, where I need you to be more so like in between your team, so then you're able to still pocket your team, and enable your Sojourn. Like, you can live in harmony with the Tracer and still get like full value and even more value because you're able to pocket your Sojourn as long as she's not killing. So unless she gets a spot like, for example, in this room right next to your Baptiste, then that's like where you can hug the door and like mark in the room, not in the room, but like at the doorway
Yeah,
in between.
just be there. Yeah, just did I have space?
I think. Okay, let me look at the last point just to see if I have any other notes for this map. And then we'll talk a little about the Servasa comp. And then a little bit about comms after that. On the Servasa comp, because we're going to be running Rhine a bit more, and so I think I want you calming just a little bit more. And then we'll talk about the ult tracking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you're engaged here. I like that you're contesting the high ground with the Doom. This is really good. I don't know what this was. Yeah.
The Doom.
Yeah. You have an explanation for that one?
No, honestly, no.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting to move me into this team.
Remember, in the neutral, I want you to be pocketing your Sojourn and
Okay,
staying on
yeah.
a wall. So,
Yeah.
building your ult on the Doom. So, like, playing up here on this wall is fine. You can also play up here. As long as you're within LOS of your Sojourn and the Doom. So, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. know what you were trying to do, like, by pushing out. Maybe you thought, like, boop the Doom in and then miscalculated a little.
Yeah. I honestly don't know, but yeah, something like that probably.
Okay, let me watch this fight as well. Yeah, I really need to talk to Himika and Teddy to not do that and mark the Tracer by going into her. Is real cringe. Well, yeah, I wanted to say this was a good fight where you held the beat. As another option, we could have aggressively beat there as soon as the enemy Lucio died, because if we're ult tracking, we know that he has beat. We'll go over like when to do that when we go over like the flashcards for King's Row at least. But that was a good call to not be there. And then Jacob just feeds. Okay, yeah, real. Is there anything else on defense here? No, I think that's the majority of it. As a general note, mechanically for you, I think staying on walls on high grounds are a little... I want that to be a bit more of a habit for you, because I feel like you're restricting the amount of damage that you can output, and then also restricting the amount of information that you can see by staying just in main on the ground. Where if you need to stay in main, try to get onto the high grounds, especially when they're like walking through chokes, for example. So the bus would be a really good example of like some place that you can wall ride on the high grounds. Yeah, we can go over a different map. So let's talk about ult tracking first. We can look at the notes and analyze. So, because this is more of like your mental thing. In terms of like getting the accuracy on the ult tracking. One thing that I do want to say is I want to see you ult tracking like way faster. So
Yeah.
There was one fight that I was like, yeah, that's like perfect. Where you were like, it was in the cleanup and you started ult tracking like before the last person even died. And I was like, perfect. That was like exactly what we need. So, what do you think is preventing you from doing that every time?
Sometimes, like, if I die early in the fight or I'm not, like, fully in it, I find that I don't know what ults have been used. So I don't want to just say, like, ults that have been used and then have to change that later on, you know? I just want to get it all out.
Mhm.
So I feel like me asking ults just slowed me down. So I think maybe I just say all the ults and then afterwards people correct me if, like, I don't know, a JQ's been a JQ ult's been used and I've not said that. Maybe they just correct at the end.
Yeah. I think we're in the code where you can still spectate when you're dead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I also have trouble with that, to be honest, as a main sport player. But I think it's just simply flipping a switch in your brain that after you die, just look for the ultimates.
Yeah. It's just a habit I need to get in.
Yeah, for you, I would say you don't need to calm as much when you're dead, because you're the one who's looking at ultimates and looking at the tempo of the fight, and then also calling. Um, the only thing that I would want you to call is like no heals or less heals or kite back for no heals.
Okay.
Otherwise, you should just be a-okay. The Yeah, and then so in terms of your accuracy on your ult tracking, I think there's a lot of times where you under predict the amount of ults that they have because the fights lasted long.
Yeah.
And
100%.
yeah. And also sometimes you'll forget about an ult and under predict that ult. So what is your thought process? Are you like, because I know that you're defaulting to what did the enemy use, and then saying
Yeah.
they have the ults that they didn't use. I want to, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
I think I want you to level up to the point where you're, because that's like the elementary way of doing it, and the real way of doing it is like looking at the fight and seeing like who's getting the most value in the fight. And so that'll come also. That's why I want you on the walls and on high grounds, because then you'll be able to have more clarity in the fight and understand what's going on. And things like marking the tracer by going to the tracer physically is going to like really diminish what you're seeing in the team fight, as well as like diminish your job. So if we can get you to the point where you're able to actually see, like if Azari is farming your Sig and your Kiri's hard pocketing your Zig, then she's probably going to have grab way faster than you think.
Yeah.
On top of that, I can give you some resources because I think, have you memorized the numbers for every ult? Or like rough
No.
idea?
I've like a rough idea of like how quick an always be built, but like it changes a lot based on the comp you're playing. For example, like if you're playing Queen into like a monkey, you're of course gonna build it way faster when you're farming the monkey, whereas when you're playing it like a neutral.
Okay.
So like I gotta consider that as well. Like on Dorado, the Queen wasn't doing a lot for the first two fights, but when the monkey was going in and like she fighting her, she was building her ult, like way quicker. I did not expect that.
Mm-hmm. I want you to, I will, if I don't send it, DM me so then I send it. There's an ult tracking worksheet, like an exercise that'll help you out.
Okay.
And then two, a list of the points for every ult. So it's like damage plus healing. Literally just like add them together and that'll be the points.
That's great.
It doesn't take into account the passive ult. So, for example, after 2 fights, if Tracer has 800 damage, she'll have Pulse Bomb, even though it takes like 1100 or 1200 to build Pulse Bomb because of the passive ult generation. But we'll get you to the point where you're looking at the entire fight and able to predict more accurately when the enemies have ults built up because of another fight. Then also, it happens less often, but it still needs to be present when it happens. But mid-fight, when the fight dies down and you guys are restabilizing, I want you to immediately start ult tracking in your head and have that, or even better, if you're just constantly doing it in the back of your head while you're playing and doing your job. Because once we get to the point where we analyze the team comps and everyone knows their job, it should just be like going through the motions, and we'll be thinking like, okay, maybe I can push like high ground here and prevent the tracer, and then once you do that, you're just like looking at the fight and thinking about like the ults. And as soon as the fight dies down and we're resetting, you just like spit out like they're gonna have grab, they're gonna be close to pulse, and they're like halfway through they're gonna have beat. So we should play fast because we have beat first. That'll happen a lot on Flashpoint too, because on Flashpoint maps, sometimes we just have to give them point and we're going to stabilize elsewhere, and it comes down to who builds window fastest or who builds those ults fastest. And if you're watching the fight and you see like somehow they have JQ like really, really farming our JQ, then you can call it out that they have JQ first, so we need the window as soon as possible to like either end the fight or get the strong neutral so she can't ult or deny her or something like that. But yeah, so that'll happen more. Which map is that? I don't even know which map that was.
I think that was one of the last ones. Forgot what that was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, on Dorado. I need you calling the tempo a lot more, because you're the one who's pocketing your DPS, and it's really just like, if we look at like the level of like how team oriented, like this map is very team oriented. Kings Row would also be very team oriented. If we look at like a Circuit Royale, no, New Queens Street, I think the like really long sniper one. It's literally just a Widow 1v1 and then everyone else. So on Dorado, that's also a very DPS heavy map, and it leans more on the DPS side, where if you're able to come with your DPS and get them to win trades, the map will be so much easier. So if you're calming your packs and calming like I'm with you here, or contest this high ground, I'm with you, or play so I have no packs, so they know not to take an engage and waste the one opportunity for us to win the map, or like the very small case that'll help us win the map. That'll be good also. Yeah, and you can do that in general, and we'll go over on the Rhine comp. So let's go over on the Rhine comp right now, how that'll pan out more so. New Junk City, yeah. Oh wait, is this the right one? Yes, it is. So when you don't have amp on the Rhine comp, well, we'll go over this more in the VOD, because I want to VOD this map, because it's very similar to King's Row, or it's like just a harder King's Row, pretty much. If you don't have amp, and if Jacob's not stabilizing, and you're tracking your team's cooldowns, the right play here would actually be TP out. Levi had a like sick TP. I don't know, maybe you watched the video and watched the analysis and understood. But for you can call to Jacob, because Jacob's kind of brain dead and he tunnels a ton. Like play safe or disengage here, or like call your rotation for your team, because at the end of the day, if Jacob's not doing it, you're next in line to be able to do it, and then it's Amika, and then Violet Fan. I would say Levi only when he has TP, or when he's like full charge and it's like a devolved mid fight already. But and then oh yeah, this is the map where it's like late beats a ton. Where like right here, when you're on this fight, when you're on point, you can just look at this once instead of looking at like every single time. But you get your beat and then you're like, is it this?
I don't think it's this fight, no.
Yeah, it was this fight.
Oh, that was there, yeah.
Where you're on point, and it's just like, if you need it, just use it.
I was just worried because I didn't have LOS on my team at the time, and I didn't want to like just solo be. Wait, I thought it was on point, aren't I? Well, oh yeah, I am point. Yeah. Yeah, the Genji Blade's me, and I should have just beat when I had the Genji Blade instead of. I think I waited for a second.
Yeah. And then also your team should be coming point, and so if they're not coming point, calm that you want them on point, so then they can rotate. Yeah, if you say beating on point, I think it should just be like, what is it, implied that they need to get to point.
Yeah. Okay, that works.
And then yeah, so there's a couple of other moments where you're a bit late on the beat. I think wait, let me look at your amp usage on this map. That might have been the yeah, so the amp usage, I want it to be very deliberate. The only time that we're amping is on the rotates, when it needs to be a far rotate. So for example, they come into us, or if they ever come into us, we should never use any cooldowns more than just like Bastion form, and that's kind of it. Because we should have the sentries to punish them, and amp heal if they really get something off. But mechanically also, I want you booping every single Queen Axe. Like, she should never be able to get an axe.
Yeah, I think on that map I was like pretty decent with it.
Okay. Yeah, and then you play really well here, splitting with your team. Oh yeah, Jacob fucking LOS's the lamp. That's how we lose this fight. It's fucking what a guy. But okay. And then let's talk about, what did I say after the so we went over ult tracking, your comms, your roll, the late beats. I feel like we can do Dorado. Okay. But I kind of don't want to go over Dorado. Or let's look at the rotations on Dorado for you, because if you can facilitate the rotations, it's either Cam or you that facilitates the rotations the most. Where you're constantly tracking threats, and Cam is constantly tracking like how to enable her tank and thinking about the space. So if we can get to the point where you're thinking about the rotations more and claiming high grounds, and especially like when you have the advantage, you're the one who sees all the cooldowns that happen. So if, for example, they don't have shield and they don't have eat, or they used rock and we have all our doom cooldowns, you can call the dive and then, or call the, because it's really just managing aggro, so then you can push in. So if you call like set up on the doom, and then Jacob and Hamika or Levi sets up on the doom, we get, or like sorry, on the Sigma, and we get a 3-man dive. That'll create the pressure for you guys to get in. This is like really illustrative on this point rotation, and also for you to be like very proactive. That's the word. Proactive with your rotation with Violet Fan, because like they should never be able to kill you first unless they're like hard diving on the rotate. And as long as you just we're gonna walk 3, 2, 1 walking, and you pack her once and just walk with your shield. Both of you should be fine. We get this rotation through, and that should just be like. That should just be a given, unless their tank is marking you.
Yeah.
Is there any other... Is there anything else that I wanted to go over on this point?
I think personally, I know I want to say is just my values were a bit on this map. Like, I think the first one on the first point, that was just a bad call, but then the second one, when they're on high grounds, it could have been a lot better timed. Like anticipating ult, for example, like a JQ or Blades. I think JQ is the one I need to anticipate just to stun it, but...
Oh, wait, yeah. Our second point hold when you had Rally.
Yeah. The JQ or when I tried to pop it and cancel it, but I didn't do it. I don't know what I was thinking there.
Yeah. So, what are you rallying against in this comp?
I did the Genji Blades. Or the JQ ult if I can get him in time, but I don't trust myself enough to do that just yet.
Okay. That should be like, because you guys should always be playing at a distance. So when you see that like JQ looking to ult, you can just, or especially if they have JQ and Genji at the same time, then like you see the JQ starting to ult and you just go for it. Or like you see the JQ shout around a corner and then you can just rally in. Even if they don't JQ, if we just roll them that fight as soon as they engage. Let's go to our second point. Like, for example, when they take the strong high ground above, yeah, I think it's right here. They start rotating off. No, it's next fight.
Yeah, I'd rally by then. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
that was this time.
I think you're a bit lost in the sauce. We should be out here. Wait, why are we up so far?
I think
Okay, we're trying to meet them.
Something. I'm not sure what the call was there. But...
30 seconds remaining.
Okay. That should just be if Jacob calls that, tell him he's a dumbass, because that's just like the worst play I've ever seen.
Yeah, we should give Ash, right?
Yeah. Just be with your Ash, and if we're out here, that's fine. And then we can kite this way. But this is just like setting up for failure, going into the room and they've beat Queen and Blade. God damn. You hate to see that, because you should have been able to cancel the Queen. Like when she comes out here, this would be like easy money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. I feel like, because also, do you know who Mara is?
No.
Okay, so Mara wants to coach you on Lucio, and I think he'll also go over Brig, because you need a lot of work on your Brig, and that should be like a separate thing right now, because I feel like we just went over your Lucio a ton, because I want to run that. But we still need like your baseline on Brig to be a bit higher. Yeah, we lost this fight because Hamika didn't bob point. It's fucking stupid. There's like a ton of small things that lost us this fight. Like if we bobbed point, if we didn't push up all the way, if we held them in this room, and then you guys stay here and we got an ante, we would have won this fight. But so going over your Brig, the number one thing that I want you to focus on right now is just making sure that you're keeping your DPS pocketed, and calming with them. That's the most important thing. Because even if if we die like at the end of mid fight, if you and Violet Fan die, as long as our DPS are able to pop off, we will be able to hold the space. Yeah, I'll give you Mars Discord. I think he's in the server actually. Otherwise, do you have any other questions?
Um,
Or we
right
still
now,
have.
no.
Mhm.
But I feel like there'll be more to say when we're actually like going over macro and stuff. Like comms right now, I know what I need to work on,
Mhm.
so I'll just keep working on that with my strings and stuff.
Yeah,
But other than that, nothing really.
the number one thing in your player notes, I think, mechanically. I'm not too worried about the mechanics, but you need to put the habits of the mechanics into practice. So that's like wall riding, don't chase the tracer.
Yeah,
Yeah, be above Doomfist, don't chase the tracer. And then putting down more so like in the neutral, you're pocketing your Soj, especially if we have the strong neutral. If we don't have the strong neutral, then you can be with your team and like wait until the Soj decides to hard flank, and then we can calm that. Or
Oh,
not
actually,
hard flank. Mhm.
one question I would have is I found like in comps like JQ comp, I have a lot of priorities to do, like help the soldier take space, engage with the Genji, and then like if we have a Baptiste, for example, I have to peel for him. So like, how do I prioritize that? What do I take as priority in those situations?
Okay, let's look at that. I think Servasa, we were playing Queen Mirror.
I think so. Yeah.
One.
It just I look to go Genji at like the beginning poke phase, and if he goes in, I case with him, and then if not, I try and allow my soldier to take space with high grounds to take space.
So in this comp, there's really two things that are happening. It's like one, your Sojourner's railing people, and two, you're setting up for a rush with your Queen. So if those two things aren't happening, then we're defaulting to the neutral, and that's getting as much space for your Sojourn and holding your Queen space. So that means for you, sitting on the high grounds with your Genji and contesting these high grounds, because you can do the exact same thing that you're doing right now, just on the high ground and being able to mark the high ground and make
Yeah.
it so their Genji and Lucio doesn't get to the high ground. Let's look at the second point. Yeah, when they come in, Jacob calls go left. I'm like, fuck no. That's like the he has the most interesting calls ever. God damn. But so yeah, right here when Levi's up on this high ground here,
I should be there too.
yeah, you should be up there too. And when they come up, this is fine, I guess, holding with your queen. But now when they come up, let's see, watch from your perspective actually. When they start going onto your BAP, that's when you need to peel your BAP. And so like,
In this fight, it's actually quite interesting because I called to go back like 10 seconds. I moved the queen off the point, so she can't hard engage, and I call back, and I'm like, okay, well, I think my team can rotate, so I don't really look at them specifically. But then I see my lab gets like ran on. I was like, oh, okay.
if you boot the queen in, remember the only targets you guys have here is Akiri if she has no cooldowns, which she still has cooldowns, and that's going to be hella hard, or the Lucio. The Sojourn always gets out because the Lucio and Kiri will pocket her. The Lucio can't really die here, so I would just say play the neutral height and then just abuse the fact that she's on low ground. So go back to your Soj and play up on the height still. I don't know, like, yeah, we all split super hard. Yeah, and so like your number one job would be deny, or like one very high priority is denying the enemy tank by using your speed to kite and boop our axes. So if you don't see the enemy tank, then that's either because they're brain dead or that we have a problem and you need to be in a position on the high ground where you can see them. Or wall riding, for example, like wall riding around this pillar. Yeah, I think like this fight in particular, the number one thing I want you to do is just be on the high ground and pocket your DPS. Really, like you won't be able to get any value. Like diving in. If they're playing not brain dead, like in comp, you could probably find a pick somewhere. But in the scrim, like you're probably not going to find any picks because they're going to peel, or they have decent positioning and they're going to peel. So if you're just enabling your DPS to get those picks, and then when Jacob shouts, then we can do that. But I think the most concerning habit would just be like we need you on the high ground so then you can see what's going on. Yeah, and if the fight devolves like this, again, the number one thing would just be follow your queen. Or follow whatever the queen is saying, because you can still follow the queen and enable your DPS at the same time. And then we can go over, because Jacob definitely doesn't have the strongest decision making with your queen.
So when would I look to go my Genji, like off angle or like in, for example? Because I know like holding space on him is fine, but like for example, if he dashes in on someone, like what situations do I actually go in with him, or what like how do I make the decision to stay or go?
Okay, let's look at this first fight. This is a good example. So, if we have shout, or if we have the advantage, then it would be really good to go in. Oh, what the fuck is our Genji doing? But, so if we're shouting, that's always a good time to go with your Genji. If we have the advantage, for example, they don't have Suzu, or they don't have Amp, or they like just use Rail and they don't have shout, then that's also a really good time to go in with your Genji. I think every time that your Genji really goes in, you should be with him. Maybe this is like an exception. But when he's stabilizing here, now I want you up on the high ground with him. Or, never mind, you're on the queen. That's good. Okay, now this would be a good example of like, as soon as your job is over and you're done speeding Jacob and he shouted in, he's in, now you're just, okay, you're still on the queen, which is fine. This is a really bad example. But let's go from like their Lucio's perspective actually, because they have the high ground. Their Genji and Lucio should be on the high ground and they should start kiting out this way. Yeah, they did a really poor job of playing the map here. And so if they're out here, the only way that we break out here is getting our Genji up here, or like getting a pick with our Soj, or forcing a cooldown and then shouting in. The only way that happens is if we get the space, and to get the space, we have you and the Genji up here, marking their backline, and then that's going to force them to back up, and that's going to force the queen to back up. And so... yeah, there's a fucking miracle that we won this fight, to be honest. Because if you look at the space, we have like 0 space. We actually have 0 space. It's like our space, their space. It's kind of crazy. Let me see. Maybe there's a retake where we can find a really good example of where I want you with your Genji. Oh, this fight? No, this fight was really... our rotation was way too scuffed on this point. Oh yeah, also for your beats, like this is like one thing that we should just have down already. Whenever you beat, call the target. You should be like, you're the #1 person that we're listening to, because as soon as you say I'm beating, everyone should be listening to your target first and then Jacob's target.
Okay.
And then if we need to stabilize here, where did you see that Kim was one? No, you did not. I feel like we did a lackluster job of stabilizing here. Could she have survived? No. But calling the tempo, especially when like everyone is low, you can be responsible as well as Jacob to call like the full out and rotate where. So when you guys are rotating out, like step 1, like level 1 is calling the out and being able to call it, and then level 2 is calling where you want to rotate. So for you guys, I guess like main would be a decent... I don't know. This is a scuffed fight, but in the future, what we'll probably get to is level 1 where you start calling the outs, or Jacob starts calling the outs, or maybe Violet Fan. The DPS if we're crazy. But then we're going to get to the point where it's like Violet Fan kites this way, like once every 5 fights, and like you and Genji kite this way, and then we're all fucked, where it should be like wherever if you can call it or if Jacob can call it, wherever your BAP is safest.
Okay.
The outs and rotations are like #1 priority, keeping your flex support alive. So if you can do that, otherwise it's like if you guys don't call the location, Violet Fan will, because she's like the flex support and she needs to stay alive. Like the entire point of the rotation out. Oh, could she have lived here? This is a fucking terrible corner. I'm trying to figure out.
I feel like if she rotated left instead of right, it should have been better off. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything we could have done better here. Yeah, definitely. She went to the... What does this look like from her perspective? Maybe it's just like, it's fucked. No, she went to the right, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like kiting or like to the like space that they can't get LOS of. That makes sense.
Yeah,
like kind of towards the left because they can't see that is better. But
I feel like we just didn't know the map here.
Yeah, I mean, she said that, didn't she? So makes sense.
We have 10 minutes left. Is there another question that you have?
Not particularly, no.
Okay. I think we can go over fight planning with you because you're like number one right behind the tanks for fight planning. So let's look at this fight and see like what's up.
Oh, actually, one question I would have is in poke comps, for example, we've not really played those. What character would I be on? Would I be on the if playing Bapalari, for example, or would I be on?
You would be on Alari. Well, actually,
Okay.
which one do you prefer? Because
Like when I've been playing that comp on other teams, I was on the Bap, but I'm not really comfortable on that character. I don't think I have the knowledge and the skill to play him properly, and I feel like Ilari does a similar job to Lucio in that comp. So I feel like it would just make more sense for me to be the Ilari.
Shooter comp is a beast on its own, and if we're going with Ryan, I think it's going to be a while until we actually look at it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
there's a ton of like just more off angles on shooter comps, where it's literally like how you're playing with your Sojourn here. It's like your hard pin to your Sojourn, or like whoever, like your Echo, for example. On Numbani, we're probably going to force shooter comp. Actually, fuck it, we can run around on Numbani. We'll just lose a little bit in the beginning, but it's somewhat doable.
Okay, so I'll just focus on Ilari as a side character as well then.
Yeah. So like if you get in a comp game on Numbani, I would recommend running Alari and practicing.
Okay.
So going into this fight actually, so knowing the rotation, the best thing for us to do is get this high ground and then rush out, window out. Knowing their ults and our ults and cooldowns, which everyone has full cooldowns, what is the best plan of action for us?
Well, since I assume we've called that I have Kitsune and Queen ult, we already have beat to counter that, but we have window as well. So I think going in, kiting out the Kitsune or the Queen ult, and then re-engaging with window with like an amplitude or a shout would work best for us.
Okay, so which way do you kite?
Well, back to where we came.
Okay.
Or yeah, that'd make more sense, I think.
And what are you gonna do to force them to use it? Because they don't have to use it.
Well, if we're gonna go, we can use like a shout or something. Like since we've got two forms of speed, we've got the shout and the amp speed boost. We can use one of them to make them think that we're going in, and that'll almost all the time force out an ult. Since usually the team that uses an ult first has a bigger advantage, they'll be looking to use the Queen or the Kitsune first before us. So if they kite that out, use a beat or something, then re-engage with like a window, might be quite good before they can use a Kitsune.
Okay. I think that's a decent plan. The only thing I don't like about that is the kiting out, because the retake's gonna be a bitch.
Yeah. It's just that I'm worried about for example, they're gonna meet us at that pillar. If we don't kite, we're gonna be in the Kitsune or Queen range.
Yeah. Because they're not gonna pop ults until you guys get past this pillar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, if we just stay there, we're gonna be taking a lot of their like cooldowns and faster fire ray into speed, and I'm just worried we're gonna use that neutral since they use that ult.
Yeah. What I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking the possibility is that they just don't ult until we hard commit, and then they ult, and then like at that point it's just like we've completely lost tempo if we beat and run out. So instead, we should instead just let me think out loud, because if we window immediately, then they're gonna hard kite, but then we get the point, and then they could Tsune rush back in. But then what will we have after that? We have Blade. They have Blade. They'll have beat.
They do just have the way harder advantage than us right now. It's just about like using out more effectively than them, I guess.
Yeah, and setting tempo and forcing the cooldowns. Because if they decide to rush you out here, if you beat, especially if they don't have beat, even if they do have beat, you should be able to burn the Lucio or the Curie really fast.
Yeah.
Like in this position here, this is like, did you watch the video on?
Don't think so. I think the two links you sent, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I sent those earlier in general, like a week ago.
Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't see that. I watched the one you sent like after this.
Okay. But on Brawl v Brawl, the rotations are a very big thing. So what that coach is talking about are come zones, where you want them to come into this zone, because apparently his reasoning is come is hard to walk through. But basically, they have to use something to walk into this zone and get to you. So if you abuse that, that's like the setting tempo, because it's not that you're going first, you're forcing them to go first and like immediately be under you guys. So if they shout and speed out here, there's no way that their Lucio survives or that they stay in. So either their Lucio and Curie have to go completely out, and then you're able to shred their team, because they won't be able to have the kill pressure to kill your team. And I think if we use window and beat at this chokehold, we should be able to do that. But that's like the number one thing where it's like this come zone here. But if we rotate outwards, we're gonna have a really terrible come zone here. Like going up on the high ground and they just sit up here, Genji up here, or over here, the Sojourn playing over here. And it's just like, it's fucking terrible walking up. Even if we have window, let's say if we window back here, they kite and do nothing. If we window aggressively up here, they rush us in the come zone. Yeah, so that's the number one thing that I'm afraid of for the kiting. Alright, let's go to like one other fight plan. I think this map is
would
pretty...
you say on that fight previous,
Mhm.
what about like engaging from a different angle, like the left side? Would that be better? Maybe like just changing where we rotate through.
I think
With those big ults going into like an area where they can just use those quite freely.
I think the left side is a fucking bait, because if we look at the because you immediately set yourself up with a come zone.
Yeah.
And then also you have zero like angles where you can take space. So it's like the only option, like it could work. It's not like it will never work. But the thing is, the trades are so against your favor. Like the odds of winning this here is you have to get a rail out, or you have to get one of your DPS to make a play, or your queen to make a play. Like someone has to make a play. And if like statistically, if both teams are making plays, their plays are just going to be stronger. Or no, not their plays are stronger, but they can control the tempo. So for example, you knife a queen and she just LOSs and you can't punish. Versus they knife our queen and they have the option of going in and punishing, or just staying on the strong neutral and like resetting and waiting.
Yeah, my main thought was like if they, for example, Kitsune down that choke, it's much better for us since we can like
you
block
can kite?
LOS. Yeah, you can block LOS without like actually using any cooldowns. And then if they queen ult, we can punish the queen. Since we've got the Baptiste, it's better like for group heals, and then we win the neutral with him as well.
Maybe, yeah. I think the one thing is like when they eventually beat in, this choke doesn't matter.
That's true. Yeah, it's a hard fight because they have so many ults compared to us.
And then also remember your BAP is their number one target, so the BAP can't really hide here. He's gonna get booped out, or because you want like open space, not high grounds against their comp.
Yeah.
Or open space before high grounds, depending on like the high ground. But like this high ground here with the Genji and Lucio can just immediately get onto your BAP is like not as good as just playing this open space and playing the come zone.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's look at another fight. Let's go like halfway in. Oh, this one's pretty illustrative, I think. If I remember, wait, let me watch how this fight plays out again. Did we even get a contest? No. Okay. So we have beat blade, window, we have every ult, and then they don't have every ult.
Yeah, I held that beat for way too long. I feel like in that situation I wanted to beat it, but I think I was mid jump from like a high ground or something. So if I beat mid air, I'm just gonna die instantly to a blade. I don't want to just die and take a risk.
One thing to help you out is after we ult track and then fight plan, your number one. Okay, I keep on fucking saying number one priority. That's a lie. That's a bad lie. But you can say I'm holding beat for X ult, so then your fight planner can like accommodate for that. Because if you know that you're gonna lose to blade or queen if they ult, say I'm holding beat for, like, if they have both, hold it for queen, unless they Genji blade first. But if you guys have a position, for example, where Genji blade isn't as good, for example, he has to go through a huge come zone, then you can say I'm holding it for queen, and we like just pressure the Genji when he blades. So here it would be like, if you knew that they didn't have queen, it would be like I'm holding it for blade, and that way that you're not on the high grounds. And even if we speed in, you're ready to beat, and you're waiting for that blade. And when the blade comes out, there's no hesitation. But it's like the prep into it. Okay, so going into this fight, what would be the best option for you guys with the materials here?
Probably going far right onto point, since there's a bigger come zone, as you call it. And then, since we've got window, we can window in the choke. Then they have to go for that little pathway on the high grounds onto point. So they'll have to LOS the window if they want to actually contest us.
Yeah. And so, how are you gonna deny their ults? So the plan is we get here with window. How are we gonna deny their ults?
Well, we've got beats for their blades. They've got nothing else currently. I mean, window can also kind of pressure the Genji if we look at him as well. And then we can, if they blade and take tempo, we can also like shout blade ourselves to counter it, force out beat, and then have a soldier ult just in case.
Yeah.
Clean up, lead it.
I want to say, also add to and clarify your plan. If we go this way, we have a really good kite out this way, or kite out this way, that blocks LOS of their DPS, and so this blade is going to be really bad if they do it over here, so rather than coming main, which adds to your plan on the window. So I think I would also say the exact same thing, where it's like we force point window here. If they engage earlier, it's terrible for them, so they have to do it here, and then once they blade our window, it should just be over, because we have beat blade for ourselves. The only thing is, oh yeah, also in the fight neutral, for example, they have Lucio beat now. This would be where you're trying to pressure the enemy Lucio. Because if we have the window here, you can be playing an offensive position, like ready to wall ride and jump in here. Or playing over here if you know that the Genji Lucio is marking over here. But that way, because if we beat first, they're going to have the tempo. So if you pressure the Lucio, you'll create the opportunity for that maybe not to happen. Yeah, and if we're looking through the window, we can probably kill that Lucio. Otherwise, if they raw Genji blade in, we should be able to kite. Honestly, you boop, we kite, we have shout.
It should be enough. And if it's not, then I also have to be available to use.
Yeah.
If I need.
Using beat first is kind of a bait, but
yeah,
they should have to beat blade it. Otherwise, that's our like contingency plan. Okay, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I wanted to cover. Do you have any other questions?
Right now, no, I don't think so. If I do, I'll just DM you them.
Okay. Yeah, so baby steps. So the like couple things that I really want to see integrated immediately are, one, you calling your amps, two, not chasing the tracers and marking and sticking with your sojourn in the neutrals. Three, communicating with your DPS. And four, the ult tracking and beat like prepping for the ult track, or sorry, like ult tracking performance, and then you're prepping after the ult tracking. So like I'm gonna use rally for blank, or I'm gonna use beat for blank, and like we've gone through like now like the defaults of like what iteration. So like if we have a strong kite, then we can use beat second. Versus if we have to go through a come zone and they blade, then we have to use beat first. A little bit of flight planning we went over, and then I think other than, because denying the queen is pretty important, but I don't think we need to work on that right now because you're doing a mediocre job at it already, and then that's not like at the top list of priorities. But yeah, same goes with the Doomfist. Oh yeah, also playing on the high grounds and absorbing more information into the fight.
I sent the notes to the notes channel thing.
Okay.
I made the thing.
Okay. Yeah. So